How's it? What we're going to be working on is making resumes, and resumes are really important in the job process. A lot of times, that's the first thing that employers want when they're scanning and scoping for a potential employee, and you won't even get an interview unless your resume looks good. So, we want to make sure that we use your Microsoft Word skills and make a snazzy little resume that's attractive yet neat and not too overbearing. Now, this is a really simple, easy um, resume that we're going to try to create. Okay, so we're going to have objective, an education, experience, and skills. Okay, now for the objective, you should have already had a job objective, so just go ahead and write that in there. For education, we're just going to use you only went to high school, so just put in there. We're not going to make up that you graduated at Harvard with a chemical bio degree. For experience, we're not going to make up that you had a job. This isn't Fantasyland. What you can do for experience is write down applicable experience that you've had doing this. So if you're going to go into a job and let's say you're going to be going as an accountant, so maybe your experience would be managing funds at the MUN fundraiser. Okay, so try to find applicable experience that you've done, probably voluntarily, and you can add that if everything you've done is volunteer experience, put volunteer experience. That'll be really impressive. And then lastly, the skills that we want to highlight relating to your field. So go ahead and hit Command N to open up a new Word document. We're going to first be putting in your name. So I'm going to make up um, a name. And this guy's called Kevin Lee. Now you want to make sure that it's big enough. So hit Command and then the right bracket to increase the size of your text. Okay. And I'm going to change the font so it doesn't look um, too bold. Now with resumes, they're generally all black and white. Depending on the type of job, you want to keep it that way unless you design and looks is you think is applicable. So we're just gonna put Seoul, South Korea as our information for our location, and command left bracket. We're gonna size that down. So it's a little bit below that, and then we're gonna hit Shift Enter to get a break tab, and then go ahead and put your um, email, sorry, your website, and that would be, let's say it's kevinaccounting.blogspot.com. Okay, and from there they can contact you. But you should probably also put an email address, so you can hit space and hold down Shift and then the key on the keyboard right below the delete button for a straight line, and then go ahead and put this at gmail.com. Okay, so now we have our information, a little bit about that. Okay, next, we're going to be putting in our information. Now, if you hit enter and you have this link, we don't need this link. Control click on it, okay, and go to hyperlinks, and you can edit your hyperlink, and you can choose remove link. So now it's gone. Okay. Now we're going to insert a table. We're going to have this 3 rows across and 7. Just keep dragging it down, 7 rows down. Okay. Now go ahead and expand it to reach most of your page. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit more on this. Now you're going to be taking this, go ahead and take your first column and make it really small. The second one also really small. And then you have a big blank. Now, see these lines? These lines, we don't want them to show when you print. They're just going to be there as a guide. You have to think tables can be useful as guides. Whenever you see a website, many of that is laid out with invisible tables. So don't underestimate the power of the table. So what you're going to do is select the table and go to Format, and we're going to go to Borders and Shading. And in Borders and Shading, we're going to choose Borders, and see how the default says all. We're going to choose None and make sure it says Table. Hit OK. Notice that you can still see the table, but it's light color, meaning it's invisible, but only you can see it and your neighbor. So next what you're going to do is click on the first cell. This is the first cell here, and we're actually going to color it a little bit. So go to Format, Borders and Shading, and we're going to choose Shading, and we're going to choose any kind of gray. You can choose all the grays that you want to choose from. So if you're printing this out, it would just be gray. And actually, go ahead and choose a different color, because if you choose to go black and white, it'll print that way anyway. So, but yeah, if you want, go ahead and do a color coordination. I'm going to stick with some blues. I'm going to stick with dark blue. Now, if you hit OK and that happened, that's bad. You need to go back and go to Format, Borders and Shading, with the cursor still in that first one. And what I didn't do is here, apply to cell, and then hit OK. So notice now that's blue. Go ahead and do the next one, and I'm going to choose a different shade of blue. So maybe this one. And again, cell, OK. So just continue to do that. And we're going to make 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the reason why so Format, Borders and Shading, this one, 3, and one more. Format, Borders and Shading, and we do this one. So the reason why I had these 3, I wanted to show you how to delete. So go ahead, select all them, and then if you control click, you can hit delete cells and then shift them to the left. That's okay. So now you'll have something like this. Now go ahead and resize your table down a little bit more. And now we're going to go ahead and make our titles. The first title is Objective, and then hit Enter, and then you're going to go ahead to obtain a position as a lead accountant in a successful sports marketing firm. Okay, so go ahead and do your objective. Now, the font shouldn't be too big because this is text. Usually 12 point or less, even 10 point is fine. But if you don't have a lot of material like we do, 12 point is fine. Go ahead and move the table up so you can see that a little bit better. You can choose the shade of black or gray for the color of your font. For next, and go ahead and bold, Command B, the objective. Next we're going to put in the experience. And I know you don't have a lot of maybe job experience, but you do have a lot of life experience. And you just have to be creative in relating it to your career. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in experience. And for experience, I'm going to put in next we're going to put in our experience. And I know you may not have a lot of experience related to your field directly, like you get money for your job, but you still have a lot of life experience. So you just have to be creative. So go ahead and type in experience. Now with experience, let's go ahead and capitalize experience. We're gonna go into on the format palette, which you can open up on your toolbox right there. You're gonna hit this capital ABC. We're gonna have that experience. Now we want to make sure that we are being consistent in the way our appearance looks. So I kind of like the titles bolded and gray. Okay, so I'm going to highlight this experience, click on the format tool and highlight objective as well. So it's the same. Now I kind of like this to obtain options. So I'm going to actually, for my experience, my first experience is going to be as a MUN accountant. Okay, so for my MUN accountant, I'm not going to have a heading, so format. So I'm going to highlight the text I want it to look like, go up to format, and then highlight MUN accountant, and then it'll look like that. Hit enter, and then you're going to briefly explain your experience as an MUN accountant. So usually I'm going to use my bullets. So I'm going to go ahead for bulletin numbering and add a bullet. And go ahead and customize your bullet. Let's go to style. Don't use the default, so choose something else. And then I'll put volunteered to manage funds for the organization. Okay, and again, I want this font, so I'm going to highlight format and drag it over this line to match it as well. And since this is kind of like a heading, I'm going to go ahead and bold MUN accountant as well. Okay, so you're going to list a couple of things that you've done for each experience. So if you did that, you could also say travel to New York City and gain valuable experience. Or actually, New York City. Let's go Singapore. Travel to Singapore for events and gain valuable accounting experience. Now, you want to make sure everything is the same tense, either all past tense or all present tense, like active. Okay? So if I don't want to put volunteer, I could put volunteering to manage funds for organization. I've seen both, so you can choose which way you want it to be. Okay? You really need to put the dates that you've done that. Now, I want our dates to be over on the right side here. But how are you going to do that? I don't want you just to hit tab, 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 because if you hit tab, it goes to the next cell. I don't want you to hit space because we want to make sure it's exact on each experience. So we're going to use the tab leader. So we want it to go right at about 4 inches. Okay. So make sure your cursor is at the end of your title position, and go to Format, Tabs. We're going to put in 4 inches. Okay, or 4IN, and instead of before we use this one, we're going to choose none because it's going to be like an invisible. And instead of left, this is the alignment. We don't want it over here to be on like all of them left aligned. We want them to be right aligned. So go ahead and hit right aligned. And actually, feeling fickle today, I'm going to go 5 inches. Okay. And then I'm going to hit set. Don't forget to put set. And then hit OK. Now you have to hit tab. Don't forget to hit tab. And now notice that my tab went all the way over to the right side. And you'll know it has a tab because it says right here, right tab. And if you want to change that, you can change it right in here. Okay? So, Now, if you just hit tab, it's going to go to the next cell like I said. So instead of hitting just tab, go ahead and hit option tab on your keyboard, and then it goes to the right side. Just figured that out. Now we're going to put the time that we did this. So let's say did this from July 2010 to May 2011, just like that. Okay, and then go ahead and try to put in one more experience for this. Sometimes the best way to keep the format of everything is you just copy this, and then you hit enter, backspace, and then you just paste everything in, and then just change this information, and then you'll for sure get the exact same. So go ahead and make at least 2 experiences, so you'll have something with merit. And again, try to be creative and applying it to your job. Now, make sure there's a space between them so it's easier to see. So we have objective, we have experience. Next, remember, we're going to do education. Okay, and again, to get this same format, we can either use the format painter, or we can just copy this, and then we can paste this and change this to education, and then we can put the school's name, correct that 1 minute. Sometimes I type so fast my little fingers hit the wrong keys. Okay, so you're going to put your education, and again you're going to put the years. Okay, so if you hit option tab, notice it doesn't go over as it should. You want to make sure that you've done that. So actually, remember up here, if we click up here where we did do the tab, you can see that it's still there, our right tab. So we could you could actually type in the years you went to school. So let's say you started in August 2008, and you graduated 2012. I don't know. Now to get that, you could highlight one of the rows. You did it before. Go ahead and hit format. Go up here and then highlight your text. And now we can go into August, hit option tab, and it will go over, and notice that it right aligns all the dates so they're correctly aligned. Okay, now under the school, I'm going to copy these 2 bullets above it, and then I'm going to put this below. You're going to put a couple of your accomplishments here. So maybe you could put here a club that you were involved with, and maybe state some awards you got or received, or maybe you were in varsity sports and lettered and different things. So just put a couple. It's easy to go off and brag, and it's not bragging. You want to put your best foot forward, but you don't want a list of 5 or 6 things for your one area. So just put a couple of things for now, and then we'll move on from there. The next section we're going to put is your skills. So let's go ahead, copy, paste, and we're going to put skills. Okay. Now these skills, they have to be, they should be somewhat related. And if I'm going for an accounting career, I mean, it doesn't really do me any good that like my skills is great at presenting in front of people. Like an accountant really doesn't do that much unless you're accounting manager and you're doing that for a school. So a school or organization. So think about what's the best type of skills that you could advertise for yourself. So for accounting, I'm going to put advanced knowledge in Microsoft Excel and creating graphs and charts. formulas, because that's pretty important in for skills, which we will be learning if we haven't already. So another skill, maybe I know 10 key. 10 key is on your keyboard. You have these keys right here. If you can like type without looking at the keys, go like numbers, that means you're good at 10 keys. So I could put that down. I could put that I'm really good at maybe leadership, like I led a team of a group somewhere, or I was involved with something, just some type of skills to bring out something that's related to your career. Okay, so that's a skill. So go ahead and put at least 2 skills down for there. Okay, now let me show you how easy it is to cut and paste. Let's cut our education, hit enter, paste in the second one, take our experience, cut that, okay, and then we're gonna paste that, just delete that into this one, okay. And again, backspace and enter will give you that bullet back. And so I just want to make sure you know how to easily arrange things. Now you can, with the table, you can evenly space things out or give things more space depending on what you need. And again, you can decide how to format the rest of your document. And then when you're done, go ahead and save it and just read the instructions on what to do with it after that. But it's really important to know how to format using tables and using the tabs and make it look nice. Really make sure you use the shadings of the colors. And there's a big difference you can make with just grays and blacks and whites. So definitely take advantage of that.